Hi everybody, it's Leanne here. I'm going to talk about the homework from this section on fractions. The thing that I want to point out though before I get started on going over the homework problems is this definition of fraction that we're going to use. So make sure that you are reading this section if you haven't already done so and paying particular attention to the definition of fraction. We're not going to be thinking about fractions like 2/5 as 2 out of 5. That's not the definition that we're going to use. We're looking at 2/5 as its proper definition, which would be 2 groups of 1/5, or 2 parts. Each part has a size of 1/5. So be mindful of that as we get through this chapter, because that's going to help you in the next section when we multiply fractions. Okay, so let's get to the problems. We had to do 1 through 5, 7, and 13. I hope that you found these interesting. I hope that you found them to be challenging, and I hope that this explanation helps you. Make sure that as you're going through your homework that you are using a different color to sort of mark your homework so that I can see where you've made your answers better. That's the goal, is that we learn. I'm not looking to use homework as an assessment. That's what the quizzes are. I'm looking to see that you attempted all the problems and that you are making your answers better by using these correction videos. All right, so let's get going. In problem 1, Michael says that the dark marbles in this figure can't represent 1/3 because there are 5 marbles and 5 is more than 1. But 1/3 is supposed to be less than 1. So he's a little bit confused, and so you had to discuss this situation in a paragraph. This is what I said, and I know that some of you have mentioned to me that you're finding the most difficult part of the course, not necessarily the content, but being able to express and explain or show your thinking of the content. So I'm hoping that this helps. I wrote the whole thing out here. What's happening here is that Michael needs to learn that the whole, or the unit amount, can be comprised of a collection of marbles. So he's a little confused on that. And in that sense, they can represent a number that's less than 1. The collection can represent a number less than 1. As Michael is able to recognize that since there are 3 rows, we can group them together and call each row 1/3 of the total number of marbles. All right, let's go to number 2. When Jean was asked to say what the 3 in the fraction 2/3 means, Jean said that the 3 is the whole. Explain why it is not completely correct to say that 3 is the whole, and what is a better way to say that what the 3 is in a fraction. So a lot of kids will still say that. They'll say that 3 is the whole, that 2 are the number of parts and 3 is the whole. But there's some limitations to that, and it can really cause some confusion, so let's discuss it. So in 2/3, the 3 means that the whole, or the unit amount, has been partitioned into 3 parts that are equal. So essentially, that's kind of the same idea, but it's really important to distinguish that that means that whatever that whole is, it's been partitioned into 3 equal parts. So by itself, 2/3 is implied to mean 2/3 of a unit, or 2/3 of 1. Saying that 3 is the whole can be misleading, because one way you might assume that you are taking 2/3 of 3, and that can be super confusing in situations where the whole is defined instead of implied. So here's an example of what I'm talking about. If we're taking 2/3 of, say, 8 pounds of apples, saying that 3 is the whole is really confusing the situation greatly. So what we want to say is that we have 2 1/3, and we're going to look at how much that amount is of the 8 total pounds that we have. Okay, number 3. Here we have a rectangle of x's, and it is 4/5 of another rectangle. And so you have to figure out what the original rectangle looked like, and then explain why you think your solution is correct. So this problem and the next one are very similar to the practice exercises 1 and 2. You've probably noticed in this text that before the problems that we're doing, there are also practice exercises. So you can go back to practice exercises, do those for more practice because the answers are actually given to you, and then you can hit the problems, the homework problems that are assigned. So if you haven't yet discovered those, that'd be something I'd suggest looking for. All right, so the given array, the one that they gave you in the problem, it's an array of x's that represents 4 parts, and each part is a column of x's. And since each part is a fifth of the original, then what we want to do is we want to show 5 parts or 5 columns. So we would have had to add one more column of 5 x's. Number 4 is fairly similar. They give an array that they give you of x's. Here, let's go back to number 4 and read it. In number 4, again, we start with this array. This rectangle of x's is 6/5 of the original, and we had to figure out what the original was. And so, back to number 4, the array represents 6 parts, and each part being a row of x's. So since each part or row is a third of the original, sorry, that should be a fifth of the original rectangle, then we want to show only 5 parts or rows. So we remove one row of 5 x's, like you see in this diagram. All right, number 5 and 7 are my favorite problems because I think it really gets you thinking about how we can use math diagrams to help our understanding of the unit amount or the whole amount, which of course is our big idea here. It's one of our big learning targets for several grade levels in number and operations. So let's go to number 5. Caitlin gave half of her candy bar to Ariana, and Ariana gave a third of the candy she got from Caitlin to Cameron. You have to first figure out what fraction of the candy bar Cameron got, and then you had to make a math drawing to help you solve the problem and explain your solution. We're also going to use our definition of fraction so that we can attend to the unit amount each fraction is of. That's a lot, and that's just part A. Part B, we have to describe the different unit amounts that are occurring in part A, and really in the process there discuss how one unit amount can be described with 2 different fractions depending on what the unit amount is taken to be. So let's go ahead and look at number 5. Since we know that Ariana got half of the candy bar, I'm using a strip diagram. That's what you see right here. It's also called a tape diagram. I think more common language today though is strip diagram. And so I'm indicating that Ariana has half of that candy bar. Then we know that Cameron got a third of what Ariana has. So you can see that I partitioned the half that Ariana had into thirds, and I've labeled the section that Cameron gets. So now we can visually see with this math drawing that Cameron got a 6th. Then you can see that I partitioned the entire candy bar into 6 equal parts just to reinforce what we're looking at here. Cameron got a 1/6 of the candy bar. Ariana got a half, which she then partitioned into 3 equal pieces. So Cameron got a third of a half or a 1/6 of the whole candy bar. So let's talk about part B. The entire candy bar is one of the unit amounts, or one of our wholes. But another is this half that Ariana got, because Cameron got a third of that half. And so in this case, the half that Ariana has is now the whole, or the unit amount that we're referring to. So depending on what unit amount you're referring to, Cameron's share of the candy bar could be looked at as 1/3 or 1/6. All right, number 7 is not too far off of that. It's the butter problem. You're going to see lots of butter problems throughout the semester. All right, so Susan was supposed to use 5/4 of a cup of butter in her recipe, but she only used 3/4 of a cup of butter. So we're going to figure out what fraction of the butter that she should have used did she actually use. And then you're going to make a math drawing to help you solve it, and you're going to describe the unit amounts. So let's go to number 7. I used a strip diagram again. I think this is the most useful math diagram in problems like this. So what I've done is I've made a strip diagram to represent the 1 cup of butter, and I think that's really important that you represent your unit amount in some way like this. And then you can see that with a dotted line, I have also represented an additional 1/4, because I know the recipe is calling for 5/4. So now I have, let me use a different color here. Now I have 1, 2, 3, 4/4. That's my 1 cup of butter. And then there's my 5/4, what the recipe is calling for. And so since Susan used 3/4 of a cup of butter, that's what I have colored in red, she actually ended up using 3/5 of what was needed for the recipe. So the 3/4 is if the unit amount is 1 cup, and the 3/5 is the amount we would indicate or refer to if we're looking at the recipe as the unit amount. I think I just kind of said that All right, so let's go to the last one, number 13. Number 13 is about improper fractions. And in the world of improper fractions, it can be confusing with kids. This is my little soapbox. It can be confusing to kids to think that improper means wrong. Please don't use that terminology. In fact, in higher math and into like 7th grade math, 8th grade math, algebra, we want kids to rely on improper fractions. We want them to be able to see 7/3 as an improper fraction and not think that, oh, it's written wrong, so I need to turn it into a mixed number. Improper fractions are super helpful, and sometimes the way that we write them in our equations makes things a lot easier and can be more accurate if you're not using, say, a decimal equivalent. But I digress, so let's go to 13. 13, discuss why it can be confusing to show an improper fraction such as 7/3 with pieces of an object, and what's another way to show the fraction 7/3. So yeah, it can be really confusing. We need at least 3 objects to show 7/3, but that can be confusing because the unit amount can be viewed as one object, it can be viewed as the entire collection of objects, or it could even be viewed as like individual pieces of an object. So the better way, or the more useful way to show improper fractions would be a number line. In fact, I like to count by fractions to really solidify that understanding of improper fractions. So let me show you what I mean here. Here I'm drawing a number line. That's 0. Let's go here. I'm going to call this 1/3. I'm going to call this 2/3. Then we're going to count. We're going to continue to count by thirds. 1/3, 2/3, 3/3. There's our 1 whole. Now we have 4/3, 5/3, 6/3, and now kids can see, oh, that's 2 wholes, 7/3. So now they can see that 7/3 actually has a place where it lives on the number line, and that the meaning of 2/3, yeah, it means 2 wholes and 1 more third, but it can also live on its own on the number line as just an improper fraction. Okay, that was long enough. I hope that helped you guys. Watch for the class activity video that I'll make as well. But you don't need to turn in the class activities, you guys. It's just the homework corrected and completed that I want to see turned in. And of course, like I said in the announcement, you guys have until Monday at midnight to do that because of our long weekend. All right, have a good one. Stay warm.